15 minutes. Okay, I'll do my best. Your Excellency, the President of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, Nime, the Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, the leadership of the National Democratic Congress, invited guests, fellow Ghanaians who choose to be citizens and not spectators. Now, let me begin my delivery with a short story. In the mid-1990s, I was a student at the University of Ghana, reading law, philosophy, and English. One day in our philosophy class, our philosophy professor asked us to write an essay on the role of political violence in our democracy. Let me confess, I deviated. Whilst our professor wanted us to write an essay on violence by private actors without state sanction in unleashing violence, I was writing about legal violence. Legal violence, the concept of legal violence appears to be a paradox, an oxymoron, because something legal is good and something violence is bad. So how can you have legal violence? Now, some of the things happening in our country is really a form of legal violence, and I need to explain. And the events of January 31st, 2019, is a classic example of what we mean by legal violence. Legal violence is, let me perhaps use a word in Akan. Those of you who understand Twi will appreciate this well. You know, you often hear of the word abro, right? Abro. Now, legal violence is a form of legal abro. Now, what is meant by legal abro? Now, legal abro is where somebody who uses public office or state authority now uses the law in a manner that basically defeats the purpose of the law. So the person is using the law in bad faith. The person is using the law in a very mischievous manner. The person is using the law in a way that is not meant to promote our national objectives of ensuring the development and promotion of the welfare of our people. But that law, the exercise of that power is being used in a way that is meant to suppress us and retard us in our national development and all. Now, as I cast my mind back to the events of 31st January 2019, it is sad to say that it is the most shameful incident in our political history since the inception of the Fourth Republic. There is no other event since the Fourth Republic, no other political event since the Republic that can measure in scale, magnitude, the level of violence and lawlessness that we saw on that sad day. As a lawyer, somebody who has been trained in the law, and as a law lecturer, just like everybody here, I love our Constitution, and I love our nation. And I think the surest way to ensure that we Ghanaians live in peace is when we uphold our constitutional duty that we must defend this Constitution. You find this in Article 3 of our Constitution. We must defend and promote the Constitution and the law. And the way that we do it is for us to talk about the event that happened on January 31st, 2019. I'm going to briefly talk about the work of the Commission, its legal significance, not only for what happened on that day, but its legal significance going forward. Now, what happened on that day? Other speakers have already described in detail, in somber detail, what happened on that day. But let me summarize it by saying this is the first time in the history of the Fourth Republic that we have open, reckless, and shameful display of state-sponsored political violence. We never had this openly in the Fourth Republic. But this is a case where people armed with weapons, funded by the taxpayers' money, wielded state power to unleash violence on the very people they have the constitutional and legal duty to protect. Luckily for us, our Constitution has a mechanism for dealing with these matters. Following public outrage and pressure, our president for all of us, set up a commission of inquiry composed of very eminent persons. My own professor, Professor Mensah Bonsu, Justice Emil Short, and former IGP Patrick Echampong. Persons who have a reputation to keep. There is this story about commissions of inquiry. You know, there is this joke that commissions of inquiry are the tools for political chicanery. What this means is that when the politicians do something then they want to cover up, then they will set up a commission of inquiry, and sometimes the report of the commission of inquiry would never be known. Sometimes the commission's proceedings will take such a long time. By the time the report is ready, you've forgotten about the incident. Fortunately for us, our Constitution has provided a mechanism whereby the report of a commission of inquiry, as a general rule, has to be published. So the commission, after a very long period of listening to first account, testimonies of what happened, came out with its findings. And I'll go through some of these findings. Now, the commission established that the intelligence that triggered the deployment of the SWAT team to the residence of our NDC parliamentary candidate then was, and let me use the exact expression used by the commission, was at best of unreliable quality. What this means is that the intelligence was false, essentially. So the very basis for the deployment of the SWAT team to the residence of the NDC parliamentary candidate, that very basis was a faulty, false basis. There was nothing to it. And you begin to wonder, so how could any sophisticated, up-to-the-game national security apparatus be relying essentially on a rumor, intelligence that doesn't have any basis? Perhaps maybe it's time that in our country we do what is done in other countries. You see, when the intelligence agencies want to act, there will be a special court which will look at the evidence and say, oh no, this one I don't think there's any merit to. Perhaps we'll reach a time to avoid this kind of baseless, intelligence reports being used as a basis for deploying SWAT teams and causing atrocities. Perhaps it's time for us to think about something in that regard. Now, the commission also established that the reasonable security arrangement on election day was abruptly disrupted by the SWAT team. So here also, instead of a national security apparatus protecting us, they rather came to disrupt the election. This is a finding of the commission. Now, what is important about the finding of the commission is that these are the facts that we rely upon now, no other facts, because they have gone through the evidence and they have established these facts. And one of the most shocking findings made by the commission was that the warning shots fired by the SWAT team were done, and I quote, in reckless disregard for the safety of persons in the vicinity, and again I quote, and amounts to a wanton show of force by the SWAT team designed to instill fear in the voting public and the crowd gathered in front of the NDC candidate's house. Now, these are serious allegations. In fact, if it were in some other country, people should be resigning by now. Because voting or election is the very essence of a functioning democracy. So when you have state security apparatus acting in a manner designed to instill fear in the voting public. Now, this is the worst form of abnegation of constitutional provisions you can think of. That is, it's the very essence of our democracy which is being attacked. Instilling fear in voters to prevent them from casting their vote. And this is part of the finding of the commission, that it was designed to instill fear, and I'm quoting, was designed to instill fear in the voting public and the crowd gathered in front of the NDC candidate's house. Another most shocking revelation or finding is that the National Security Establishment, and here I'm quoting, the National Security Establishment is a means by which party faithful are resettled. We all should be concerned. We all should be concerned about this finding. And as Brother Kwesi Pratt noted, it's a cause of concern about what is going to happen in 2020. Because if national security, which represents the state, and the first duty of the state in any democracy is to safeguard and protect citizens, if that institution, according to the commission, is populated by party faithfuls, it basically means that they cannot provide security for all Ghanaians. It's not possible. And that is a serious indictment on our national security setup. And I'm surprised that up to today, we haven't seen any visible attempts to implement the recommendations of the commission to deal with this issue, which can pose a serious problems for the 2020 December elections. Again, I'm also surprised that to this day, some of the recommendations made by the commission have essentially been disregarded. If you recall, the commission recommended that Ernest Akomia alias Double, who was in possession of firearms, should be prosecuted. Nothing has happened. The commission also found that one Mohammed Suleimana appeared to have assaulted some members of the public. This too hasn't been done. The commission also found that Colonel Michael Poku should be reprimanded because he was ultimately responsible for what happened. This also hasn't been done. The commission also found that the minister in charge of national security should bear ultimate responsibility and be reprimanded. This also hasn't been done. So if the indications are anything to go by, it appears the weaknesses in our security apparatus that was identified by the commission, it appears there is no intention whatsoever to fix those weaknesses before the December 2020 election. And that is a matter of concern. Now, let me also talk briefly about a part of the recommendations of the commission about compensation for the victims. The commission said certain persons should be compensated. And here I call the names of Theophilus Sedofu, Said Duzani, James Moore, Mohamed Al-Hassan, Isha Wiyaru, and many others. And to this day, no compensation has been paid to these persons. end my delivery, there was one aspect of the Commission's work which I think should never be repeated in the Fourth Republic. After the Commission had come out with this report, the government issued a white paper and basically accused the Commission of bias. You know, as a law lecturer, I have read many commissions of inquiry reports, right from independence time, before independence, in the Fourth Republic. I've never come across a white paper issued in response to a commission of inquiry report where the government of the day basically attacks the commission. I've never seen that. And the words used, to say the least, should not have been used. The words used are the commission failing to carry out its core mandate to faithfully and impartially inquire into the events leading to the violence that characterized the by-election. The commission's approach to the first term of reference was prejudicial. Prejudicial. Using the word prejudicial to describe the work of a commission composed of very eminent persons. I think this shouldn't happen again. This should not happen again in the Fourth Republic. Now, anytime we have a commemorative event, it is meant to serve certain purposes. It's a way for us to keep alive always the memory of certain events. And in this case, it is a national duty for us, because of the implications it has for our national security, that the events of 31st January 2019 are kept alive in our memory. And I hope that there will be subsequent commemoration events like this, so that the relevance and importance of that incident will never die. But as we do so, it is also important for us to reflect on the state of our democracy, the fate of the rule of law, because what we are seeing, if it's anything to go by, doesn't bode well for the 2020 December elections. So let me call upon the government in power to take immediate steps to address all the weaknesses established by the Commission of Inquiry as affecting our national security setup. The government in power, the state, has a duty to provide security and protect its citizens. And the first thing that it must do is to ensure that the recommendations of the Commission are carried out so that the security of all Ghanaians can be assured. Before I've reminded of my time left, let me just read my conclusion. It's fine. Yes, it's okay. Thank you. And I can do no better than to just read out an article I wrote on the political and legal consequences of the Commission of Inquiry report. This is what I said in that article. It is unfortunate that a by-election that was to provide another testimony to our steady efforts towards the consolidation of our democracy was marred and stained by state-triggered violence in a manner that surely undermines the credibility, integrity, legal and political legitimacy of the results of the Ayawaso West Wuogon by-election. The surest way to prevent the recurrence of such acts of electoral violence in the future is for the government to faithfully and boldly implement all the recommendations of the Commission. Last but not least, let us commend the members and staff of the Commission for their boldness, hard work, and sense of integrity they exhibited in carrying out their work in the national interest. Finally, I say that let us live to the national motto of freedom and justice by ensuring that the victims of the violence receive justice. And I call on the government in power to ensure that the victims of the violence are duly compensated so that they are able to get the justice that they deserve. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Dr. Abdul Basit Aziz Bamba is a lawyer and a lecturer at the University of Ghana, Legon. We are grateful for your time, sir. I'm sure that you all will agree with me that we cannot do this without hearing from the traditional leaders of this land. So let's welcome Ni Ashi Jani. He will speak on behalf of the Traditional Council.
Madam Nancy Oiradon Nyongbajobo, Your Excellency, former President John Dramani Mahama, parliamentarians, Nime, Name, ladies and gentlemen, Ehi Akagmene Wakayo, January 31st, Menegine. Baleshi hime jienke ejik biko. Na me hie pano biko. Ejake amete me kome ame nanonite no ojokbang. Na me keke mba. Inkone ke hegbene ni nkeda wo honorable Vanderboy Uko Chencheshi. Ejake na kankpile no ni ba eba jie bi ankwen ake traditional council nyu ekote beno na wole na kele twa pick up mie inyeme nye ka never again she imagine ka nkenya ake never again. Na kankpile ka oba ywe fiwe me hien ni the motion small year pin wa be na me ke honorable jata fioni ni tu ejemi e ka ni bon fo wo mo nobody jofoi get bi bioko launi na year pin ni honto ye get angbalale e sadi ma che year pin ma fon Kodimana way. Since then, in used to go yapping down. Kajana can be there, Kadamoko yapping yet to air, you call it. Himajeka Nakanoni Ba Echo Akabadon Ni Afine Hue Waya election baby. Election hen wo mam ye sheye democracy wo hia jetu akayu omonodon afetu akolo na akegbe ame sige gbemen adesan eni wo she yue mama yue ojuemo ni hodo sumo o ya fon shiki ejeme ke wo gbe na mo ni wo sumo wo wole 31st January jinoni baleshi bi was small Neko Abadon. What bear te son won, Chije ya no papa he. Imagine Simono. Kajana can buy a lesson, Baleshika channel, et a song, she did by papani. Banaka Baleshino, Akao, Henny, I try to a year, and I fed in there, yeah, a baman, I buy him a Giana. And they were by a Neke assembly lessons now, Fenner than chair. me pi ba court no ache mo e ka police ye je nlo ko ka police ye je le ke ba jo kala ke fire service ye je do ba panye fai no ni ba bi e na kan manager afie e ko akaba don ka je na ke ba hye be ni ma na mi tuntu e anam 200 ba vote jake na kan kuna no ba bi e ne e ko ba ko dan ni baleshi ji e ko ni 692 e moko poka moko no ko ye election hi no e fe wo fe ke wo hin na ape no won panye fai aka 2020 in share wa pomoden ko no fe wo ba yu e efe ye he jolemi e ka fe ye tu ke krante na ajake aka tu efe democracy tu entomon yu e aka gyo pin ke jatai do me shan ka gbe mo ede no mbe jine ke mba academic yan pe ko ya fi na mi wo wa yan afi ko na afi ya de ba ni na wo afi be ne ka bi wo hia na wo ka do fen wo to ni a hye no afi be ne ka to a che Ghana president a che John Dramani Mahama Shame kanke incoming president ake but wo ma heritation ni je gbe papa ni ambassador ya me hale ne ba ye president ka ba ye president etu o ka fi o ko ba hin meji yen ka meji yen agwa me water twa no ba nya bla o
Thank you very much, Ni Ashijani. He spoke on behalf of the Traditional Council. I'm sure that before we welcome the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, it's important to listen to one of the victims. So I will hand over the microphone to Yaro Ishao.
Hello. Minga mafia mo ya biene. Nyanya good morning. Onukpa ni yo biene fe minga nye. Special minga John Dramani Mahama. Minga wa chama Mr. Fosu Ampofo. Minga boss ya
Ganis.
Kama shike ha nyami me nina ke majani bi ne api ke awo fe ibe izemu ni achowo ya television ya bi ne nye makwe intending face na ke because no ni mi na television ya nye makwe nsusuma nye mini wa fi alumini eba ke wa ba ka shi wamba wo ba wa brother ni afe election mi ji wo no je gani eji olu min biye alo wo nu ba biye na je gani eji o ke gani eji o mi ne sake na ke ma jani bi ne ba apie biye ne wamba wo ba support wo brother wondo mo shake tuji e ba do mo wono akewo shije minewo I just arrest us with guns minewo binwo fi bineju wo crab ye Ghana ne min bi na do dan ko akufa do minwo fi because I plow what plow adenche special me impla ni yo bien impla adenche for the past 1 year Me kashi and senake, me kwengwe, near maternity left, near maternity right. For the past 1 year, up to now, Nwoko trouser down. Nonoma loji boxer, alo nika. Nini wafe, mi ji wa crime, akashi wamba, waba wawa nyebiene. Since 1 year, walk with long sleeve. Young men are with long sleeves. Mini wo isake balaka. Min beat Nanado Dankwa Akufa, mini wo isake ebanaka. Mini wo fe. Nini happy. Or former President John Dramani Mahama, a voter. Nini happy, naturally. Akela Kashi na noni happy ya cry. E she noni a fear. Iba, Accra, no mere were 37. No mere be in Leononiano before my election, man and former president here. Neighbor ni Iba Slavi, you try to see good leader, Juno. It's more a BG. Name planner for the 1 year. NDC people, NDC, John Dramani Mahama, I may take care of hospital bills in medicine. In no fear, John Dramani Mahama, chairman of the party, Mr. Fosu Ampofo. I'm very grateful. She Ajemi Mbashia, she's still in her admission. I'm a Jamie Tomo 10 months June. Cafe addressing twice a week. Now taxi in Kebaya 37 Monday and Friday. It's easy. It was Minda or former president John Dramani Mahama. Thank you for being there for us. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Yaro. I'm sure that you also watched the video and you saw a young man who was in a white T-shirt on the floor being beaten up. Eventually, he almost lost his eyesight, and then, thanks to God, he's back from treatment and he can see now. His name is Harvey Nelson. Let's listen to him for 2 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, and good morning, my brothers and sisters. On that fateful day, I was just minding my own business, just trying to get from point A to point B. And I encountered a whole bunch of people wearing uniforms with firearms. They were actually discharging firearms at people, literally opening fire at people. And I stopped to ask them, why are you shooting the people? That's all I asked. Why are you shooting the people? And on that particular moment, they just started on me. Every single one of them started on me. And I remember hearing people trying to come to my rescue, but it wasn't happening. At the same time, somehow along the line, I lost control and I was completely down. As I fell, right in close proximity, I heard serious firearms discharge towards me. And that was it. I blacked out. Now, it took me over 24 hours to recover, to actually come back to life. And today, I can tell you on authority that action was state-sponsored terrorism. That is nothing else when a whole bunch of people armed with weapons, firearms, discharge bullets at unarmed people. That is internationally known as state-sponsored terrorism. And under no circumstances should we allow Lucifer to do that to ordinary people. I'm not one person who worships much, but that day God spoke. God reacted, because to think they opened rapid fire at a whole bunch of people and nobody died. God spoke. and never again. All you guys that like to pray before you do everything, good luck to you. But my personal experience has taught me to be ready every time. Under no circumstances would I walk in a place blindfolded again. Never. Good luck to the whole lot of you, and good luck, and long live Ghana. Thank you very much.
So I'm sure you saw him in the video, the one in the white shirt who was on the ground. And indeed, never again should we experience this so far as our country, Ghana, is concerned. He has been sitting quietly and listening. I'm sure that he remembers that day vividly. He was on his tour to become the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress on that day, and I'm sure that he was briefed appropriately about this shameful development that occurred exactly a year today. Without much ado, let me welcome the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama.